Welcome to the amazing engine of Decima. Keep in mind that although Horizon Zero Dawn and Death Stranding are open world games, they are fundamentally different. Let's talk about the engine and its parts. Let's talk about the sky within the game. In Death Stranding, even though they share the same engines, we're talking about Horizon Zero Dawn and Death Stranding, there is a much more simpler version of the sky here. That's due to the fact that the diversity of the environments is just not as in depth as Horizon Zero Dawn, which has to cover deserts and forests and jungles and things of that nature. And different elevations create different sky patterns or cloud patterns. It is much more in depth in this game, and that's what I want to point out. Now let's talk about draw distance. The draw distance that is in Death Stranding is impeccable, and actually the level of detail is impeccable as well. Keep in mind that there isn't a lot to render within Death Stranding, right? Um, there isn't creatures roaming around and things of that nature at all times. So it's very controlled. It's a very controlled setting here. Horizon Zero Dawn's draw distance is also very impressive, but there are a lot of issues with the level of detail. It loads slow, and it could be, that Death Stranding is has improved on the engine, but I fear that there's more diversity in Horizon Zero Dawn, and you get those particular errors. Now the rain that is in Death Stranding is more artistically expressed. I would say you have very thick rain. You have the raindrops within on the camera, which is something Kojima is known to actually have, is make really really good rain. But pay close attention to the rain droplets that is within this particular game. It's very thick. It's very atmospheric. Versus in Horizon Zero Dawn, yes, you get the color grade change to simulate thick rain, but the particles that creates the rain is essentially lines. It is not actually particles that are drawn to look like raindrops. There's a lot of them, but it just isn't doesn't have the atmosphere of Death Stranding. Which, that's the evolution, different art styles. Lighting. We are basically talking about the God rays within this game, and the God rays rendered in Death Stranding as at a much higher resolution than Killzone or Horizon Zero Dawn. Now, that could be because there's no day and night cycles, and it's not as dynamic as Horizon Zero Dawn, as you will see very, very, very soon. Horizon Zero Dawn has different versions or different levels of God rays, but it is rendered at a much lower resolution because it has to take into effect the sun placement, essentially, which is unfortunate. I was thinking at one point that it could be the evolution of the engine, but it's just that Horizon Zero Dawn is a much more dynamic game. It renders a lot more particles and the like. I mean, Guerrilla Games knows their engine basically, but that's a byproduct of the dynamic nature. Fog is another thing that we want to talk about here. And back in the day with the PlayStation 1, it used to be used to hide pop in. Now we get fog to actually add atmosphere. And once again, in Death Stranding, it is at a much higher resolution and more tasteful. Whereas Horizon Zero Dawn, I think it's a little bit too intense, and it could be because it's very chunky. It's it's at a low resolution. Now let's talk about the wind. This was very hard to actually capture. There is a wind factory within this game. I wouldn't say a wind factory like it's generating it, but it's used to collect the wind and generate power in this game. And this is about as intense as it got. You got the straps blowing in the wind violently and some flowers to the left, but this is how this is the most intense versus Horizon Zero Dawn. I mean, this is a sandstorm. It is incredible looking. The animations for its the foliage is and the dust actually as well. It's pretty incredible. I'm not, this is very incredible. Horizon Zero Dawn is no slouch. A lot of people are gonna sleep on it in that regard. So let's talk about the foliage. Kojima actually mentioned before that he creates moss. Now the moss is not affected by SAM or wind or any other environmental things. But it is a lot of it. It is very dense mesh. This particular foliage is affected by SAM, so when you walk through it, it moves, but there's not a lot of it. And also, you can clearly see this is the equivalent of the tall grass that is in Horizon Zero Dawn. Um, Horizon Zero Dawn has foliage too, but it is not affected by Aloy. It is affected by explosions, which you will see very soon. And I will say that it's rendered at a higher resolution. So this is you can clearly see it's actually affected in that particular area, right? People don't notice. People think that okay, so when she walks in it doesn't move, but it has the potential to do so. Um, they disabled it for Aloy, so that's basically this is the only tall grass that you're going to get that moves for Aloy. Terrain. This is where it actually is blown out of the water. I thought this was parallax occlusion mapping. Nope. This is actually a polygonal mesh. There is a system that's in the Decima engine that renders these things. It fades it in. And it's much more dense here, probably because the polygon budget is different. But that's not to say that it doesn't happen in Horizon Zero Dawn. You can see that the shadows are affected by the actual polygonal terrain, which is pretty cool. There is a scene coming up where I had to slow it down. You can see the tall neck's shadow, because I thought this was flat too. You can see the tall neck shadow is actually affecting the mesh, or you can see the mesh better in this particular regards. Now, fluid. I was looking at the water, and again, artistic expression takes a big part here, right? It looks okay. You know what I'm saying? There's nice little shader here, and I thought that was pretty cool. Whereas they added this later on, and it's just more going on with the Horizon Zero Dawn. The shader is much better in terms of Horizon Zero Dawn. It's a lot higher in resolution, so they can have more nuanced waves and the like. Versus, there is a dynamic mesh that they have into the game, and it is it in the Decima engine. This is incredible. I didn't think that they could do. I thought it was fake, but this right here is pre-calculated meshes. So they definitely improved the Decima engine in that regard there. Like, this is definitely something that is pre-calculated. You cannot affect it like you saw in Death Stranding. Um, so that is all the things that I've noticed within the game. Thank you so much. And don't forget to subscribe. I would really appreciate it. My eyes off you.